welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Transportation System.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Double Dose of Disney podcast. As always, my name is Brittany, and I am joined here by my Disney history loving husband, Tony. For the last couple of weeks, we've kind of been mentioning different ways to get excited for your Disney vacation because it's the best way to do a Disney vacation is to start living in the magic of it from like the moment you book. So today's episode, we decided to share a few of our favorite ways to live in the magic of Disney from the very start. We kind of like always aim to live our lives in the Disney magic even when we're separated from it, you know?
Oh, I know. Living in the Disney bubble, I think a lot of people say what they really don't, maybe they don't really fully understand it.
Right.
Or at least they don't live it.
Right.
And living it's a lot funner.
Yeah,
Especially
no,
coming
definitely.
out of the COVID season where we got involved in the Disney bubble and out of the real world.
Right.
There's a lot you can do to stay like you're in the park without being in the park.
Yeah, and
Looking forward to your next trip. What can you do? How can you stay there? How can you be in that place without actually being there and spending your money in the park?
right. And like whether it's like your first trip or your 100th trip. I remember before our first trip, we lived in the magic of Disney just by planning our trip. Or I remember Disney Plus had just come out, and so we were watching Disney movies, like all of those things, you know. And so it's like whether it's your first trip or your 100th trip, living in the magic of a Disney vacation as soon as you have it booked is so much fun. Because you mentioned a couple of weeks ago that if you're not kind of like living in the magic of a vacation from the start, it's not as exciting.
Well, it's like any other trip you're going to the coast. You're there, it's gone,
Right.
money's gone, whatever. That's the whole point of, and Disney has you because they have you when you're not there, when you are there.
True.
Because you're planning ahead for so long. That's the whole point. You're planning for so long, looking forward to it, so you're just there all the way. And that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The dining you have to go out in advance for. There's planning that needs to be done, or should be done.
Yeah.
And it makes it for a better trip because you actually kind of understand what's going on. You're not just, shaking your head cut off the whole time.
No, I totally agree. And I think that, like what you said, you always say, like if you go to Disney and you don't immerse yourself in it before you get there, you're not going to enjoy the trip as much. And I think that that's so true. So whether it's like your first trip, you can take some of these tips to heart and kind of start incorporating them into your life now and get excited for your vacation. Or maybe it's your fifth trip and you're like, I've never really done any of these things before. You can incorporate them and start living in that magic.
Well, if not, all you're doing is looking at it at face value of, okay, this is really expensive. This is a theme park and it's based on Mickey.
Right.
Whether you're going with a couple or with a family of, a bunch of kids, it can be the best trip either way, no matter what. Everyone says, oh, you got kids, it's not going to be as fun, it's going to be stressful, blah, blah, blah. We're going to change the theory on that one. And we've heard plenty of people already have. It's just how you look at it, how you view it, what you do, especially if it's not your first trip. If it's your first trip, that'd be stressful because you're trying to do as much as you can.
Right.
Our perspective, we've been quite a few times. We don't have to do everything.
Right.
But at the same time, yeah, like with some of the stuff we're going to talk about, if you don't know anything about anything, you can't appreciate anything.
Yeah. You just go into it and you're like, oh, okay, I'm in this entire place that's themed around Mickey Mouse, which it's not that.
6-hour line, and this line sucks.
Right.
It's like, well, you don't know what's around you, what you can look at.
Yeah.
Who made this? There's secret little gems and things, little Easter eggs. There's hidden Mickey. I mean, if you don't know, you just don't know.
Yeah, and like we always say, like Disney does detail on every single touch. And what Tony touched on a little bit ago was that when we first went to Disney, we've talked about it before in the podcast, right after we got back from our first trip, it was like the whole world shut down. And we had spent 5 days in the Disney bubble. And if you don't know, the Disney bubble is what like Disney guests call it on property, or I guess maybe what Disney would call it on property. I've never heard Disney call it that. But it's like once you go under the gates of Walt Disney World, everything else doesn't have to exist. Like you're just on vacation. You're just creating these magical memories. You're in the parks and you're immersed in all of the theming and the details. And that's what Disney does so well. So we try to live our every single day like that. Whether we're at home, whether we're in the parks, like all of those things. And obviously it's a little bit more of a challenge when you're at home. It's a give and take, but always having a trip on the books is something that helps us. And also like Tony touched on, that's kind of like the whole aim of this podcast, of the content that we're going to start creating, is to change the narrative of, yeah, it's not as fun if you have kids, or it's going to be stressful, or all of these negative things. It doesn't have to be like that. It's just fixing your gaze on what you want your vacation to be and getting the most out of it and getting the most out of your life.
Yeah, like you talk about going, like when you used to be Magical Express.
Right.
When you got there, boom, it's like,
True.
we're intentional on turning our phones off, and like everyone says now, you can't not be on your phone. Well, it's different now because you're looking at the apps. You're still immersed in Disney. We both own our own businesses, so we know what it's like to be on our phones all the time, and it trains you. So when you're not at Disney, you can be like, okay, obviously we're on our phones as much as possible when we need to be, but then we know how to turn it off.
Right.
And we get immersed in Disney throughout the day or whatever it is, basically to stay in a place of not just being stressed out.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Like yeah, do you have to be on your phone for Genie Plus? Yes. But did you have to be on your phone to get fast passes in the past too? Yes, you did. So it's all up to like whatever you want it to be. And you don't have to do any of those things. You could completely put your phone down and disconnect. One of our rules is that like when we're in the parks or something, like we're not checking emails, we're not checking text messages, we're like not doing any of that. We're not responding to text messages. We're not doing any of that. Maybe at the end of the night we will. I think my biggest thing personally is the hardest thing is like trying to film stuff or like capture things for later, but also still having fun. But one of my goals for this year was to really kind of be authentic and unaesthetic with content, but just like if there's mistakes in it, like let's roll with it and just be like as authentic as possible. So you ready to get into how to live
Number
life
one,
in Disney Magic?
A. First point.
What?
I don't have any more.
Number one. First point, begin with the history. So Walt Disney, there's so much history within Walt Disney World, within the Walt Disney Company, and within Walt Disney himself. One of our favorite things is to watch the Imagineering series on Disney Plus. I think we've watched that probably like no less than like 4 or 5 times. Also there's a series called Behind the Attraction. What I'll do is I'll create story slides of each of these things. So it kind of like saves to like Instagram, and I'll save it to a highlight on our Double Dose of Disney fam. But, there's so much history to Walt Disney World, whether it's a series, whether I've read different books on Walt Disney, knowing the history and kind of helps you to appreciate the details. Like for example, when you're walking down Main Street USA, all those names on the windows of Main Street USA aren't just like random names. Those are names of fictitious companies that were used to help buy the land that Walt Disney World exists on, or like legendary Imagineers. Like there's detail in everything.
Yeah, or we maybe talk about later, but Imagineers, like in the Imagineering series, that's another like key, like Joe Rohde, like the guy who basically made Disney World. Not really, but
Animal Kingdom.
A lot of it.
You mean Animal Kingdom?
Animal Kingdom. I'm just saying he did a lot.
Yeah.
He did way more than that, but just knowing when you're walking, Joe Rohde did this. They got like everything in these parks wasn't made at Walmart. Like all this stuff was brought in, or it was made from people who were from those countries and certain parks,
like the
Animal Kingdom, like the Roos and stuff, or
from Nepal.
But just knowing and understanding, especially when you're there and you do have to wait in the lines, like it gives you something to look at, and connect back to like knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and like in Epcot, in the Norway Pavilion, the roof on top of one of the buildings has grass on top of it because that's how it is in Norway, and they brought Norwegian like landscapers over to help plan it. Like those are details you're not going to get anywhere else. It's like a pet peeve of mine to say that Disney is a theme park. Is it technically? Yes, but it's also technically its own 2 cities. So like there's so much detail in everything. You can't just say, oh, Disney is a theme park. And learning these things, like beginning with the history of Walt Disney World, would help you know that.
It just, like I said, just seeing it when you go in person. Like when you see it on shows, like or you just understand it, whatever, you get it. But then you actually get to go there and see it in person. Even though you already see it, and you're like, oh, okay, there's that, it was blah, blah, blah. Just like it connects all these dots, and it just like, it makes for a more enjoyable trip because you're not just looking at everything, like I said, probably said a lot, at face value, you're just looking at it. You get to appreciate it, and then, okay, cool, now we get to get on the ride.
Yes.
Or whatever.
So, like, watch the Imagineering series on Disney Plus. Watch Behind the Attraction on Disney Plus. One of my favorite shows to watch is One Day at Disney. That's not going to give you the history of Disney World necessarily, or the Disney parks or Disney as a company, but it will show you kind of like the way that the Disney company as a whole operates, and I think that's really cool. There's also too, like, The Secrets of Disney's Animal Kingdom. I think that's the name of the series. It's on Disney Plus too. And that one just kind of gives you a behind the scenes look at the animals at Animal Kingdom, how they're taken care of and stuff. So those things kind of just draw you in more to being a part of Disney World.
We're talking about all of this. We're talking about the parks. We didn't even talk about the whole fact that, like, the whole reason this thing's here is you got to go learn about Walt.
Right.
That's
well, yeah.
where it starts, and that's where you can shed a tear every once in a while.
Or every single day.
Like, if you need to go understand what he went through and where Mickey Mouse came from, that's where like that you bring it back. That's where you're like really
Connect
appreciate, and then it gets to the parks,
Yeah.
and then it gets to the Imagineers. Like, but before that, there was nothing.
True.
So go learn anything you can about him and the videos on him. Like, that's the
There's that really cool documentary. You and I watched it one time on Walt when he went. Do you remember when he went to, like, South America? He went to Brazil. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put that on Instagram too. That was a really cool documentary, and it talks about like the Three Caballeros, which is a ride at Epcot, and or like different things like that Walt really drew from. And the whole, like Tony said, the whole reason Walt Disney World exists is because it was one man's dream to have a theme park that wasn't like just like the Nazi carnival rides.
like he says, the ones that you're the fathers can enjoy with their daughters,
Right.
like at the same time, not just watching them have fun.
Yeah.
Like
If you don't
his
know,
words.
Walt's original vision for Disneyland came from he was sitting on a park bench on a Saturday. He would take his daughters out on Saturdays to like go spend time with him, and he was sitting on a park bench watching them ride the carousel, and he was like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a way to create a park that a place where I can enjoy time with my daughters. And so he first told his wife Lillian. Lillian was like, you're crazy. He was like, nope, keep doing it. And everyone said he was crazy, and so he created Disneyland, and then Disneyland was extremely successful, and they sought out to do Disney World. And there's also a exhibit and a show in Hollywood
Man's Dream.
Studios. Yeah, Hollywood, One Man's Dream.
Currently not showing.
No, so a One Man's Dream is in Hollywood Studios. It's like a walkthrough exhibit, kind of like a museum. And then at the end, there's usually a show called One Man's Dream, right? And it's narrated by Julie Andrews. And you'll shed a tear when you watch it, or 5. But right now it's not showing. It's being replaced by like a preview for the Percy Jackson series on Disney Plus. But hopefully it's back whenever we go in a few weeks.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. I cannot believe they're trying to
They do that apparently sometimes.
boost something like Disney Plus.
Yeah, they do that
When they
apparently
never be in
sometimes.
Disney World again, they're gonna miss that show.
That's true. Yeah, I feel like personally that show should be a precursor to getting to the parks. You have to go to One Man's Dream. You have to walk through it to be able to understand Disney World, to be able to go to the parks, and you have to go to Hollywood Studios first. That's my personal opinion. Okay, number 2.
B.
Start
Second.
start familiarizing yourself with the parks and attractions. So once you kind of have the history down of Walt Disney World, then like as you're beginning to immerse yourself in your vacation, spend time familiarizing yourself with the parks and attractions. I remember I can be very type A, and I remember when we were planning our first trip, I printed out maps of every single park and I looked at all the attractions. I also there's books called like The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World, and those books will give you like a really good idea of the descriptions of each attraction and all of those things. So I kind of wrote down, and it also will break down too, like this attraction is going to be good for this age group. And it broke down too. So I knew which attractions we wanted to prioritize. And then watching
Yeah,
some of them.
you basically have to if you have kids. 'Cause you got to know which ones they can
Right.
go for one. And just familiarizing yourself with the parks, well, that and also like the hotels, like logistically speaking, you got to know. And,
That's true.
And you'd like to know where everything is located. And I'm still learning that, looking at a map, like where everything is which hotel is where, like knowing like just where you're going, where
Yeah.
you're at, how long it takes to get places, and should we do this or that. Like that's huge, and most people learn that like us like 5 years down the road, unless you because she uses for a living. But I'm still looking at the map, like okay, this is actually on that route.
Right.
This one's actually the furthest from this park. Like
True.
knowing where you want to stay, which parks you're going to be to, at more. So,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, familiarize yourself with where the resorts are and what
Where you
there
wanna be.
is to do at your resort that you'll be staying at. Because like Tony said, like if you don't know like the let's say you're staying at the Contemporary Resort. Contemporary has like every single form of transportation there is. But you could also be staying at the All-Star resorts, which are just as great, but they only have bus transportation. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
So-
like if you're staying if you know you're going to be staying at Magic Kingdom majority of your days, you're not going to want to stay, at Animal Kingdom Lodge
Right.
or something. Just or wherever you're just knowing where you want to be, what's going to be most convenient.
Yeah.
Or if you even care. Maybe you
Yeah.
can just be at the hotel because you want to be there.
that's true.
But at least, you don't want to get back every single time. Like, man, we should have, wish we'd have known that.
True.
There's too many of those that happen every time.
No,
Minimize them.
and that's true. Like, so, like, you want to make sure there's so many attractions and so many things to do in each park. I talk about this on TikTok all the time. Like, there's more attractions in the parks than what you'll be able to do on your vacation and what you should push yourself to do. So prioritize the things that are most important to you. One of our favorite attractions, and we've only actually gone to it once, is the American Adventure in the American Adventure Pavilion at Epcot. That's such a cool show. The animatronics on it are amazing, but we didn't prioritize that on our first trip because we were like, okay, like we want to go and see and do these other things.
Or you follow somebody's advice that says it sucks. When
True.
You really would enjoy it.
Or another example of that is Dinosaur. Like, we love Dinosaur in Animal Kingdom, and we didn't.
By the way, it's not. You won't get sick. It's not the most terrifying thing.
No, but
for
that's-
little kids and maybe
That's the reason why we didn't ride it. I don't think our first trip. Maybe we did our second trip, but we didn't ride it. I know at least the first trip because I thought that it was a simulator attraction that was making people sick. It's not that at all. Like, it couldn't be further from the truth. Like Tony said, maybe if you have kids, like little ones, like don't take them on it. But
we were at the Carpool the last time, and they looked freaked out. I think only one truly was. Crying.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I think they enjoy it. They just
there's a height requirement for it anyway. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, either way.
On that though, another thing is fun to do when you're not at the parks and you're at home and you got a trip 6 months later, a year, whatever, is follow like the advancement of a new ride or one that's going to shut.
Oh, that's a good idea.
One that's going to shut down. Like right now, Tron finally open. We haven't rode it yet. But we were following the progress. Even our last trip we were there, and just following the Splash Mountain being closed. Follow like the ride progress.
Yeah. You can go on Disney World's website and there's a page that has like all the refurbishments that are taking place as well as like construction that's happening. And so you can see the construction that's happening. So if you're wanting to do like what Tony said, that's a good idea. I had never thought about that.
And knowing like, hey, if you want to ride that and it's going to be shut down, you better prioritize it or you're never going to ride it again.
True. That's true.
Be done.
Yeah, that's true. Number 3, immerse yourself in the planning. So when you're going to Disney, there is so much that you can plan on your vacation. This is kind of from the standpoint of you already have your trip booked with like a resort picked out and park tickets. But after that, like that's not the only thing that you can plan or technically really should plan. Park pass reservations are no longer for everyone but annual pass holders and cast members, thankfully. But I would still go into it with like a rough estimate of which parks you're going to go to on which day or have plans for that because then 60 days before your vacation, you're also able to make dining reservations. And dining at Disney, I think, has changed. Wouldn't you agree? Like you don't have to have those dining reservations.
It's not as hard because you
right.
can cancel 2 hours before.
Yeah.
So even when you're there, you can still get something that you couldn't get 6 months in advance for some reason.
But it's a good idea to kind of know, like, hey, I want to go here. I always say plan as much as you can on the front end, and then you can cancel everything and plan it on the back end. You know?
Yeah. For us, dining's huge.
Right.
We talk about that all year long until we go.
Yeah.
Which restaurants we have been to, which ones we want to try. Which ones are, we're cool if we don't, we're just, we're going to book something, if it doesn't happen, something we know we're going to, no matter what, we're going to try because we haven't yet. And there's some we do every single time, no matter what. Like Boathouse, that's almost a non-negotiable at Disney Springs.
I know, but we don't have it booked
But
for
then we
this
also
trip.
want to try paddlefish. It's
And we want to try Chef Art Smith.
It's a tricky thing.
Yeah, and so I think what we're going to
Sacrifices.
Well,
must be made.
after we make this podcast, I told Tony, I said, while we're watching football this afternoon, it's like wild card weekend. I said, while we're watching football this afternoon, I'm going to sit down and like plan out a little bit of our dining because I really haven't. And like you said, you don't have to make your dining reservation 60 days in advance anymore, but it's always a good idea to have some plans. I actually opened up a note in my phone earlier that I had made of like from a couple of trips ago saying these are the places that I would like us to dine at, or these are the places that we wanted to go. So we had Jico on there for dinner, Space 220 Lounge, the Plaza Restaurant, Harambe Market, ABC Commissary, Paddlefish for an appetizer, Polite Pig, and Topolino's. Jico we won't go to this trip because we have little ones and we're not taking them to a signature dining location like that. Space 220 Lounge, we've tried going to in the past, but we just weren't able to get into. The Plaza Restaurant is that restaurant that faces the castle. You know where the Plaza is, right?
Looks fancy on the outside.
Yeah, but we've never been there before. Like, I don't know.
They do a brunch too, right?
They used to, and I still like am so sad
Or you
that
could
we
just go
didn't do
Casey's
that.
and get corn dog nuggets.
True, that's true.
Call it a day.
Yeah, that's that's
Some
true.
chili cheese fries.
But then I also have Harambe Market on there. I don't know why I wrote Harambe Market down. That's like the place that it's in Animal Kingdom in Africa. It has like bowls basically, but I don't think they're as good as Satuli Canteen. ABC Commissary, we always talk about going to.
Or next door to that is we've always talked about going to that little bar lounge. I'm blanking on it.
In Animal Kingdom?
Yep.
What is it?
I have to put it afterwards and blanking on it right now. It's the only restaurant, one of the only restaurants we haven't been to there.
Oh, Yak and Yeti?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where they do have a limited little pull-up bar where you can kind of cruise up there. I think you can get snacks.
Yeah, but now that wouldn't really work with a stroller.
We missed our chance.
ABC Commissary, we always talk about going there, but I am like a ride or die Ronto Roaster fan, so I think maybe we should skip the Ronto Roaster this trip or go to Hollywood
We
Studios.
don't have to skip anything. We just don't have to always eat everything when we go there.
That's true. Or we don't have to go to Hollywood, or we
can
can go to
split
Hollywood
something.
Studios 2 days. Paddlefish for an appetizer. We have tried going to Paddlefish for an appetizer. This will be our third attempt to go to Paddlefish.
Try to go on the roof. They won't let
The
you on
first
roof.
time, no,
they won't. Just
the first time, yeah. So
an
if you
event going on.
if you go to Paddlefish, at Disney Springs, you can be seated upstairs on the rooftop without a reservation. The first time we went up there, it was raining, so they didn't have any chairs out. The second time we went up there, it was it was a private
closed.
event. Yeah, it was a private event, so we didn't get to go. And then I have Polite Pig. We've gone to Polite Pig before for like appetizers and just to like grab a drink, but we've never actually gotten a full entree there. So that is somewhere we want to try this trip.
That's when you have to, no matter what you can, because they have an outside area where you can just kind of get a beer to go and
Yeah.
for all their whiskey, so even you're not getting anything to eat.
Yeah, we're kind of throwing around the idea of doing like a budget, like doing a budget night or like budget friendly night at Disney Springs on our first night if the girls are up for going out.
They tell us that's okay.
Well, I mean, like if they're good to like put in the stroller and roll over there, and eating like possibly doing like Polite Pig or doing like a progressive dinner at Disney Springs with all quick service locations. So either way, we'll film that. But Polite Pig and then Topolino's. I'm actually looking for a Topolino's reservation for us for this trip for our first character meal with, of course, the girls.
They're gonna love the food. That's why we're going.
Yeah. So
As everybody says, it's more upscale.
what? Topolino's?
The food.
Yeah, the food at Topolino's is
It's not just your typical. They have some different.
they have like
little-
quiche Florentine, steak and eggs, different things like that. And my favorite thing about it is it's actually cheaper than Chef Mickey's. So why would you go to Chef Mickey's when you can get like a better experience, better value for your meal at Topolino's? Number 4.
D.
Watch movies that you may be less familiar with that are tied into the parks or resorts. So this kind of goes back to number 2. You familiarize yourself with the parks and attractions. You then...
You have to do all these in every single order that she's talking about too.
No, you don't.
A, B, C, and D.
No, but like so once you kind of know which attractions are in each parks, then you can go on Disney Plus, because most of the movies are on Disney Plus. I think all of them are, and watch movies to familiarize yourself with the attraction. For example, when you go to Pandora World of Avatar in Animal Kingdom, if you've never seen Avatar, you just think, well, this is a cool land.
So think about it this way: what are the latest 4 rides that have come out?
Tron,
Mm-hmm.
Guardians of the Galaxy, Ratatouille,
C.
and what is the other one? Rise of the Resistance?
So you can see that. What was the first one?
Tron.
Yeah, so so Avatar, Tron, like Ratatouille, all these ones.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy. All these that just came out. If you haven't seen the movie, you're probably gonna enjoy it,
Right.
but you're not gonna understand anything.
No.
So you're getting like 50% of what they put all this work and effort into and detail into in the songs, and you're not gonna understand anything.
Yeah, and I've been Tony and I have been working on a list of movies you should watch that go along with the attractions. So I'll share that on Instagram too.
Like
But
Tron, I haven't seen that, and I know I would probably enjoy the ride, but
it's on Disney Plus. We should watch it.
Yeah, even if you don't even like it, I'm still gonna watch it.
No, I know.
When I ride Tron, I know what's going on.
Well, for example, the other day we started watching Swiss Family Robinson. We
turned it off, but we got the gist of what
we didn't finish it. No, that used to be one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, but I haven't seen it in so long. So to walk through the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse at Magic Kingdom, so many people skip over that. I think that's a really
nobody does a treehouse.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool like walkthrough attraction. Will we go on at this trip having to like lug two babies on our
Well, it's not
chest?
really going on it. It's actually just walking.
We're walking
I don't
through
think there's
it.
a ramp on there.
No, there's not. No, but we'd have to like carry them on it. So like,
If you want to get just a little leg calf workout, we'll strap them on the chest.
it's a really cool attraction.
Cool view too.
Yeah, and then just like watching different things like that. Or we've never seen A Bug's Life, but we love the attraction at Animal Kingdom. So I want us to watch A Bug's Life this week. The other day I watched
that one. You could actually not watch anything and still get what's going on in that one.
Yeah, the other day I watched The Princess and the Frog. I hadn't seen that before, and that's such a cute movie.
I would say for the rides, you want to like as much as you can, like the ones you haven't seen, like Ratatouille, like that one. I guess you probably could too.
You could, but
Avatar
I don't
is
think
definitely one I wouldn't pass up on the movie.
Here's the deal: you could skip out on watching Ratatouille, but you would be bored in the queue, like just like looking at everything. You wouldn't get the details.
It goes
of
back to our history one. Like if you're not
Right.
going to understand it all, you don't appreciate it all. So then, what's the point when I go back? Because you didn't even really enjoy it to the fullest. It could have been enjoyed the first time.
Yeah, so like, or if you're eating at Be Our Guest, maybe consider watching Beauty and the Beast before you go. Like, so you know what each of the rooms are like, and it just kind of gives you more detail on it. I think it's so much fun to do that, and I think
that's the
we
whole
should do
point.
that leading up to our trip
It's
more.
the whole point of immersing you in being there.
Yeah.
Not just okay, we're at a part. Like we're in this thing.
Yeah.
This ride, this movie.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So then you want to go watch the shows, and you want to do kind of a little everything here. It's like we're
Or
seeing these
like-
4 things, the best rides, and we're gonna eat here for lunch, and we're gonna go.
Go back to our resort. Yeah, like in Toy Story Land, there's so much detail in Toy Story Land. Like obviously I think everyone's seen Toy Story, but consider watching Toy Story again just because you pick up on so many more details
one.
from watching it. Yeah.
Now you can go eat there too.
Yeah, you can go eat
around the
around.
barbecue.
Yep, and we are eating there on our next trip. Number 5, brush up on Disney music. This is actually one of my
Brush
favorite things.
up.
Yeah.
More like just understand and listen to anything that you do.
No, this is one of my favorite things. I am constantly listening to Disney favorites or Disney hits on Alexa. Like when I'm working throughout the day, if that's playing, I have a record player in my office. There's Disney favorites on that.
Our girls were listening to this in the womb.
Yeah, in the womb. And the girls and I listen to it all day. Like when they're napping, I play the Disney sleep playlist on Alexa, or there's a Christian lullaby playlist that I play, but it's one of the two. And then when they're awake and we're playing, I play the Disney favorites list. So
may or may not be walking in our house singing "Let It Go" from time to time.
there's also a Walt Disney World playlist on Alexa, and I listen to that too. But if you've never been to the parks before, it's probably more fun to like not listen to those things before you get there.
And certain podcasts I've heard like talking about music wise too, like
The
ones
cue
that are-
music.
anything or on the behind the attraction, kind of like the music that's on the rides and the history behind the music. I mean, you can go deep, not just a face value. You can go deep on this one, like the history of like the music. And
Yeah.
all. So you gotta be kind of nerdy to do that, but
No, but like so, like for example, the Sherman Brothers. If you go on the attraction,
Small World.
no, well, it's a Small World, or if you go on Carousel of Progress in Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom, which is one of my favorite attractions. It's like a 20-minute, it's a 20-minute show, but it's a revolving show.
And that's one nobody would go on if you didn't really understand what was going on.
And that's exactly what I mean. Like, if you don't know the history, you're just going to be like, why would I go on that? Or you're going to sit in it and be like, this is dumb.
So what's the history?
But the Carousel of Progress was actually a attraction that was at the World's Fair. And after it was at the World's Fair, it was brought back to Disneyland where it was for a while. And then they transported it to Disney World where it is still at today. So this is something that was like envisioned by Walt. Walt had all these like attractions that he envisioned and he wanted them to go to the World's Fair. So this was sent to the World's Fair. Walt had his hands on it. And it's basically how a family evolves over time. But there's a big sign on my wall right now in my office that says there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and that's the theme song. That's like the main words in the song. The Sherman Brothers sang that song, wrote that song, but the Sherman Brothers also sang like many of the different Disney songs. There's actually a documentary all about them on Disney Plus too. So yeah, it depends on how deep you want to get into the Disney nerddom. We obviously are like deep in it, but
we're not in the hole, but we're like.
I don't know how much more in the hole we could get.
We're stepping into the deep.
I don't think we could get any deeper. I mean, this is literally like what I do for a living, what I do for fun. But
any other Bolton's thoughts?
Not that I can think of. What about you?
I do have actually.
Oh, I figured he would.
I actually have a couple of.
Me.
These are actually just things that we do. This isn't even like just thought of like,
These may not be normal.
Yeah, this is what we do most weeks, almost every day. So, Fridays.
Disney Friday.
Typically, we do a Disney Friday.
Yep.
And we try as much as we can to actually make Disney dishes.
We haven't done that in a while, yeah.
So the last one we did was like the Ratatouille pizza.
Oh, we did that a couple weeks ago. Yeah. I have a video. I have a video of that I'm going to be putting out.
I'm blanking now.
We've done Ronto roasters.
We've done tachos.
We did tachos when I was pregnant. We did
all heavy stuff.
Yeah, with the Ratatouille pizza actually wasn't heavy, and that wasn't something that came from Disney, but it was just kind of themed around Disney. So that's a good idea.
We do Disney Fridays. We try to make the dishes and try to watch the movie of what we're eating.
True.
But we're not very deep in this thing.
Also, the girls wear Disney footies or Disney outfits on Friday, but again, we're not very deep into it.
Not deep.
We started doing that because I don't even remember. I think we try
to get out of the mold of
yes.
just the everyday. So we do things like, we don't just, it's Monday, we got just a weekend. We try to do
We don't
something.
live for the weekend.
Every day is a good day. Everything is, fun. But Fridays, that's just extra. We just did that. But
yeah, we did Disney Friday. I want to say we started doing it during COVID. And
we weren't going out.
Yeah, because we weren't going out. And then it was like a fun way. There's a cookbook that Tony's gotten me called...
It's like the Parks Foods.
Yeah, the unofficial park food.
A couple of them.
Cookbook.
I think has recipes of them.
Yeah, he's got me a few different Disney books, and one of them has recipes in it. We've done the Adventureland spring roll cart. We've made those, like the cheeseburger spring rolls before too. There's all, like Tony said, a lot of it's like really like heavy, but it's so much fun to do something like that because you're bringing the parks home. This is out of the
box. Like this is something that it's like you're bringing the park kind of to you.
No, definitely.
The other thing that we do is on walks or workouts, listen to the podcast. Like find your favorite Disney podcast,
aka Double Dose of Disney.
History, yeah. So other than ours, like if you have anything else to listen to, there's plenty of them. But that's one thing we did starting in COVID.
Yeah, we started taking walks in COVID because we were like, we need something to do, and then we started listening to different Disney podcasts during that time.
Another thing we're not very deep in this thing. Is we still check all the wait times in the app.
Yeah, we do.
At home to see. Actually, this is actually a good idea. I was thinking about it. It's not just kind of weird, but you can check the wait time throughout the year just to see how they fluctuate. You don't have to.
That's true.
You don't have to take anybody else's word for anything. Like you can just check it out. And say, hey, at this time, is it really like and maybe weird. Not for some reason, not that day or that time of year, but yeah. We've been doing this for years, so we check it. We just check rant. It's just fun. Like, hey, Splash Mountain has 10-minute wait, or this is a walk on right now. You get 10 minutes at Haunted Mansion.
Yeah,
just fun.
No, that's true too. Yeah, because you're always like kind of like plugged in the park.
Just
like for example,
familiarize yourself with the app.
Big Thunder Mountain has a 35-minute wait right now, and you could buy a lightning lane for it at $5.55.
You can see if something's closed just to make sure you're be on it anyway. But
I guess that's the good
So
thing
real
too, is what you just said. Like, you can familiarize yourself with the app. That's something that
they're always adding stuff too.
yeah, and that's something that I tell my clients all the time, is to familiarize yourself with the app before you go.
Yeah, they're always putting new buttons on there and things that see show up next time. And if you don't only get once a year, I guarantee you there's going to be a list of things on that app that weren't there last time.
One of the coolest things in the app, since we're talking about it, is if you scroll all the way down, you hit the hamburger sign, scroll all the way down to the bottom, it's cast compliment on there. So you can give people like a cast compliment or something like that too.
Help somebody get a raise, folks.
Yep, because Disney values that whenever they're giving promotions and stuff like that, if somebody compliments them.
That's all I have
Well,
currently.
yeah. Like we said, we live in the magic of Disney every day. My motto in life is live the life of the YOLO. Live your life to the fullest every day. Sometimes that's hard because it's like, well, I don't know, like we love Disney World so much. That's what a lot of our life, like, I don't know, it's just a big part of our lives. But at the same time, like, living our fullest life every single day just makes it even that much better when we get there, you know?
I mean, here in Texas, we're shut down almost because it's 30 degrees.
Right.
So we didn't go to church today. We watched it online, and then directly after that, we put on a live person running around the park.
That's kind of
embarrassing. Back to the real world is what I said this morning. But yeah, I mean, every day doesn't have to be doom and gloom until we get to Disney every time.
No, I totally agree.
I mean, you're half there when you're not there if you actually do it right.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Double Dose of Disney podcast. Be sure to give us a follow on the Double Dose of Disney fam on both Instagram and TikTok. Like I said, I will share over on Instagram this week kind of a recap of everything we talked about in case we like move too fast or something like that, so you don't have to write it down. And please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. That goes so far to help us continue growing our audience. We are so excited. We have listeners in 13 different countries, so friends in 13 different countries that are tuning in, and we are so grateful for every single one of you. And we will see you right back here next week.
See ya.